Okay, so today there's just a lot of that symbolism we're going to talk about in Revelation 17 and 18. And remember, we talked before about how it compares a lot to God and then Satan. They compare, okay? And we'll see a lot of that today also. So we're talking about the woman, and we're going to explain some about that, who the woman is, and the various things here, okay? So we've talked before about this, the 7 heads, and there's different meanings here, and here it goes through the Roman different 7 that can be explained. And then there are, it says the woman who rides on the beast. And she's also called Babylon the Great is the name for the woman. But she's riding on the beast. In other words, with Satan. Remember that Satan, the beast, is the Antichrist and the false prophet. Well, now the woman, if I talk about God and I say the bride, who is that? The bride is all the people that believe in God. Okay, you will see here that this woman shows, it represents all the people that are following Satan. You see the comparison there again? Okay. And she's been what has made all the persecution and the trouble and all of that. This woman stirs up everything, okay? And it says, the woman who rides on that beast, which says we're in for a rough ride with the woman, okay? And oh, here comes Cheryl's coming, joining. Good. Oh, Bonnie. Okay, good. So in Revelation 16, 17, and 19, you know, when they were pouring out, and it talks about this Babylon remembered, and that's the same woman. And so now for chapter 17, it's
Data, come help me.
Hey, good morning, Bonnie. So we're going to talk about this false church and all the things that are happening now. Okay. First of all, let me explain that Babylon is a town, and it's on the Euphrates River. So it's a true town. It's what we now call Iraq. Okay, so it's that same place. And it talks about the Lion of Babylon. It's also a symbol that means the king of Babylon. So we'll talk more about that and how the kings are different meanings throughout there, okay? Now, in this time, it's going to be what we call a new Babylon. In other words, it's going to be happening kind of again. And so the woman is the false church, the false believers. We talked about the 10 horns of Europe, and we're going to explain more about that. And out of these 7, there's Europe, there's Germany, there's Russia, Britain, and just various nations that are represented through these. And we'll explain more of that as we go through also. So here is showing, she is the, what's the sign for prostitute? Is there a sign? Prostitute? Prostitute, okay. So she's the prostitute of Babylon, this big city. The beast, we said before, is the Antichrist, the 7 heads, and also it talks in here about 7 hills and represents 7 kings. And so we'll explain, we'll see that as we go through. And then the 10 horns mean that the 10 different kings that are coming together in the end, okay? So that's all preparation. Okay, so this is a picture. It says that the woman rides on the beast, and they call her the harlot, the prostitute that's given to her. I'm sorry, Bonnie, what did you say? You can't see the pictures? Check your view. Oh, Nicole, can you see the pictures? Oh, I didn't share. Okay, let me see. I bet I didn't share screen. Sorry. Thank you. I've been showing pictures all the way. So let me go. Okay. So this is what I showed so far. How the woman rides, and then the rough ride. Now you see him? Okay. And okay. So there we are. This is where we are now. Okay. So we have the 10 horn beasts, the various countries, the false church, which is the woman, and then the seven heads, 10 horns. These will all be explained. Okay. Sorry. Okay. And this shows, this is what I just said, that the prostitute is the great Babylon city, the beast is the Antichrist, the 7 heads are the 7 hills and 7 kings, and then the 10 horns are 10 kings. Okay, you see it now? Okay, okay, okay. Let me do this. So, you know, the Bible describes the religion that they're honoring, you know, people and Satan and government and things, but not God. Then they're not honoring God, and that the harlot's name is Babylon. Okay, and then it says soon God's going to bring trouble to them. Okay. In Jeremiah, it explains that these groups of people, the Medes, will destroy Babylon in the north. Okay, so that means that the Babylon that's in Revelation is somewhere in the south of these nations. Okay, it says, "I will raise up and make to come against Babylon from the north." They're going to come against. Okay, and so what he is doing is he's prophesying about what will happen here. Now, talks about the scarlet. The woman represents all the religious power and all the religion that's not of God. And then the 7 heads actually represent the government. So we have the religion and we have the government together, okay? And in verse 1, it says, there came one of the 7 angels that had the 7 vials and talked to me, that's John, and he told John, he says, come on up, come up. And I want to show you something, sitting on many waters. Now remember, the waters are the people. And so he's going to show him this, okay? And then he explains that the whore is sitting on this beast and how they make people drunk, but it's not drunk with alcohol. It's drunk with all the sin and wrong and everything like that, okay? And John tells us that he took me away and he saw this woman sitting on the beast. And so Babylon is the woman. Then there's the 10 horns, the 7 heads, the waters, and the beast. It says, so he took her away, or he took John to see all these things that were going to happen. Now, in verses 3 and 4, he gives them a warning. Warning, warning, warning. Pay attention yourself, because if your brother is against you and you rebuke him, and if he says he's sorry, forgive him. He's telling us to forgive people, even if they do wrong against us, okay? Because if we forgive them, it's fine, because we know that God will forgive them if they just ask. And if they're against you 7 times in a day, then 7 times say, I'm sorry, you will forgive them. In other words, if they do things 7 times and they come back, sorry, forgive. Again, sorry, forgive. So continue to forgive. All right. And then in the 4th verse, it says this woman, she was clothed in like purple and the scarlet colors. Again, it's showing that royalty. And she takes the golden cup. Now remember, she takes this golden cup and she pours out. What happened before? We saw in the 7 golden vials in heaven. What was in those? It was our prayers, remember? In heaven with those 7 vials was our prayers. She takes the gold cup and puts in all the bad, and the sins are in her cup. You see again the comparison there, okay? And here it tells us she had the purple and scarlet, she had her gold, her jewels, showing that she was royalty, the best, trying to be the most wonderful, but yet she led people into all sin, not only sexual sins, but that's a big part of it, but also the sins of government, the sins of the church, the false church and all of that. And then on her head was written that name, Babylon the Great was her name, across her forehead. Okay. And it says she was the mother of all prostitutes. And again, it's not just sexual prostitutes, but prostitutes of government, religion, all of that. Okay. And it said, verse 8, when they saw her drunk with the blood of the saints, it's because she killed so many of the Christians. If you'll remember in the first part, if they didn't take, when they got to the middle and didn't take the mark of the beast, they were killed. And then before that, all through history, Christians have been killed for Christ. That's like the disciples, most of them were killed because they taught about Christ. Okay. So she was drunk with all this blood from all these Christians that have been killed through all the years. Okay. And John said that when he saw her, he was so appalled, and it says marveled, but he was just dumbfounded at what she had done. And again, she was just proud and riding with her cup and just, victorious in all that she had done. And again, Bonnie, I didn't see. Oh yeah, celebrate. Yes, always. Celebrating. Okay. Where am I? But the beast that you saw, it says it was, but it is not, and will come up from the pit. Okay. Now, and we'll talk more about the beast that was not. If you remember, we had of the 7 heads, we had the one that was killed, died, and then came up again. So he was not, and he comes back to rule again later. Also, the Antichrist will be thrown into the pit, and then after the 1,000 years, he will come back to try one more time. Okay, so he was not now, and will come back. Okay, now, who is this beast? And the 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. And I will show you a picture in a little bit of 7 mountains in Rome that it actually means. And that's where the woman sits, is on these 7 mountains. In other words, it's Rome that the woman sits on. Okay, it's the country. And also the heads are then later explained as mountains. So the 7 heads represent the 7 mountains. And then Satan had 7 big kingdoms, okay? The first one was Egypt. The second one, Assyria. The third one was Babylon. The fourth one was Persia. And the 5th one was Greece. Right now, we are under the one from Rome. And then the future will be after the tribulation. The future will be Rome 2. So it's part 1, part 2. Okay. And in Jeremiah, again, it says, I, the Lord, search your heart. I try your reins to give every man according to his ways and according to his fruit. In other words, whatever you do and how you do life is what the Lord is searching for and looking for. All right. Okay, and this kind of is a graph to show you how the Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, it shows across there where they were and where it is now. And then it says the one to come, and that's the Antichrist who's not here yet, okay? And then the beast that comes back on the 8th, okay? So this shows the various changes from going through. Now, again, this shows the 7 kings, and it says that five are fallen. That means that 5 are in the past, gone, okay? The 6th one is now. That's what's happening is now. The 7th one is not yet. It hasn't happened yet. Okay. And then the 8th will be that beast that it'll be one of those that have fallen, but then it comes back. That'll be the Antichrist. Okay. Here's another way to explain it. I tried to show you different ways that you could make the comparisons and see. The 5 fallen, the 6th one is but is not. In other words, he's died. The 7th one is the Antichrist, okay? And then we're going to the 8th. But the 6th one is the one that will come back again, as we've already seen in Revelation, where he will die and then come back, okay? Now, another way that many look at this is though it's religious leaders, okay? And they talk about the different popes through the years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then who will be the 8th? You know, so it says 5 are fallen. So again, they explain it in different ways and different meanings of this process. It's all symbolism. Okay, so we've got our 10 horns, and then it says that they're going to fight the Lamb. They're going to come against Jesus. All right. And these are going to be the 10 leaders of the world system. Ultimately, it will be NATO. These 10 nations will be NATO. Okay. The symbolic, it'll be political. He will attack and destroy the religious harlot. So it's going to be politics and religion. Okay. And it will lead to the finish of false religion. Oops. Jeremiah again, he says, Lord, the hope of Israel is that for you they will be ashamed, and that they would depart from me shall be written in the earth. In other words, here they're explaining that people will depart from Christ and it will be written in the earth. So Jeremiah is actually talking about the future, what will happen by the time of Revelation. And here we are in verse 14. It says they will war against the Lamb. But what happens? The Lamb will overcome. Okay? Because he's the Lord of Lords, King of Kings. And it says those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. So that's us. We are chosen and faithful because we follow the Lamb. Okay. Lost. Here we go. Okay. Now, through verses 10 and 11, if you also go back and you compare with the book of Daniel, he also compares and kind of explains all these same things. And when he talks about this statue that they built, it represents the different times also, the Babylon, the Persia, Greece, Rome, and so on, okay? And again, the 5 that are fallen, they're also talked about in Daniel. And one is probably Rome. And the one that has not yet come is that one world religion. That's what we're heading for it now. And they're trying to do it now. Satan is trying his best to establish that, the one world religion. Okay. And so that beast is the 8th. And he's in the group of 7. All right. Okay. And then in 11, it says that beast again, he was, is not now, and then will come. He'll be going into perdition, and that means punishment, thrown into the pit and all that. It says, and then Thessalonians, it tells us, let no man deceive you in any way, because that day will come. Okay. And when they talk about the falling away, that is the time of revelation, that sin will be shown. And the son of perdition, that's Satan. Okay. Now, the 10 horns are 10 kings, and they've not yet received a kingdom. In other words, right now, for instance, like in NATO, they're a group, they're established, but they don't have kingdoms, but they are world rulers. Does that make sense? Okay. It says the hour will come that they will get authority. Satan will give them authority as kings, and they will rule along with the beast, with the Antichrist. Okay. Now, the 7th head has 10 horns. Okay. There are 10 kings, and they don't have their kingdom. And again, it compares to Daniel chapter 2, the statue. There's the comparisons. The 7th will be led by the 10 kings and the beast himself, the Antichrist. So 10 kings will be like the 10 toes of Daniel. Okay, so there's the comparison there between Daniel and Revelation. Now, it says that, remember, the woman had her gold, and Satan will have his gold crown. And the crown also compares Jesus' crown, thorns. You see, comparison all the way through. So they had the gold, and Jesus had the thorns. Okay. And again, they will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb is the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. In verse 15, it says that the angel said to John, he said, the waters that you saw where the prostitute is seated are, and explains it right here. It says they are the people and the multitudes and the nations and languages. So if you wonder, well, why do we say that the waters are the people? Well, it explains it right here. And he says that the waters are the people, all the people that Satan has deceived and that this woman has gathered in, okay, which is going to lead to that last battle. And it says that the 10 horns, remember it's the 10 nations, probably NATO, they will begin to hate the prostitute. Okay. And they're going to try to throw her out. You know, it's just like now, you know, people, oh, we'll work together. And then a group of them get mad at one person and they kick them out. Well, that's what's happening here. They kick out that prostitute, that whore. All right. And here it says, we are invited to come home to that city, for the word tells us that whosoever will, and I will find there will be what? A mansion waiting when I reach that city on a hill. This is not a Bible verse. This is just explaining that he is coming, and he says he's prepared for us if we just continue, even through all the trouble, even be willing to die if necessary for Christ, but not surrender to Satan. What beautiful things are waiting for us. Now, in chapter 18, it talks about the destruction. You remember last week, we said that this is the time of God's wrath and anger. We are in the time of grace, but grace is now gone in this season, okay? So Babylon the Great is fallen. The harlot, who we've learned about, the seven-headed beast, the different nations, and we have the political powers. And then in verse 17, he says, God put in their hearts to finish his will and to agree and to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God will be fulfilled. What he's saying is he's letting them do their thing. Because right now we have choice, and he's letting them do their thing and have their choice. But he's bringing them to the time of judgment. Now in verse 18, it talks about the woman. He says, which people look at and go, oh, wonderful, you know, and they follow. But she reigns over the kings. And again, that Babylon shows there on the map where it is. But she's actually the false church, the false religion is what she stands for. And here it gives a showing how the priests and the preachers and the people begin to let things creep into the churches. And we know now some churches don't teach all the truth, you know. And so they're saying here is who sits or reigns over that? It's Satan and this woman, the whore. Okay. And this shows the, you know, the waters, the beast, 7 heads, 7 mountains, 7 kings, the nations, the river, because we're going to see very soon that this river will become dry. And that's where the battle is fought. and then Italy is where that last leadership is. And where are the Pope? They're in Rome, Italy. Okay, just saying. And again, another comparison of how, the 5 that were fallen, the 6th is, the 7th is not yet, and then the 8th, we will talk about Gog and Magog. And maybe you know, maybe you don't, but that is Russia. And I think one of them means Russia, and the other means like the king of Russia. Okay, and go into perdition. So once again, a picture of those 7 nations, beast, 666. And this is another showing of what those 7 might be. They might be like Arabian or whatever kings too. There's different ways that it could be, but it's from the line, the generations, where we know that Satan will come. So there she is again, just showing all the craziness of the woman. And this is another picture showing from the world history in prophetic symbols from the beginning, time of Christ, how Satan begins and just keeps growing. The time of the woman. This is in the Revelation time, and then the millennium, and then how that beast comes up one more time right here, and then to the new city. So throughout history, and it compares like to what this is like from Daniel and Revelation and so on. So it's just kind of a map, and you will get. I'll send all this. You can study whatever you want there, but to see the symbols. So it's going to be spiritual, financial, and military are going to be 3 areas that are involved in this city. And they're going to take over all of that. They're going to try to control your religion, control your money, and control your armies. Okay. In this little book summary, it says the word revelation means unveiling or showing, the disclosure, and they're writing things that will happen in the future. The rapture, the judgments, and everything that will happen throughout tribulation, and embracing the Antichrist, okay, and all of that. So that's what it means. So that's chapter 17. And it just, all the craziness with the woman, prostitute, and the beast. All right. Okay. Now, 18. This follows that. And this talks about when that Babylon the Great, who is the woman, when she is fallen. Okay. Everything is removed. Everything is removed. All the earth is changed in this time, and they're going to be sorrow because they sold themselves to the woman. Okay. And it says, they ask the question here, is the Lord against prosperity? No, not really. but how do you use it? What do you do with it? And is prosperity your goal? If money is your goal or prosperity is your goal, then it's wrong. God should be our first, number one goal. Okay. Now this is in 18:1. It says, I saw another angel coming down from heaven who had a lot of authority, and the earth got really bright with splendor. In other words, there were just things, lights all over, but some of it also was the fire. And you'll see how it made everything light up. And this is where he says, this angel shouts, Babylon is fallen, fallen. Yes, Babylon is fallen. And that how she has become the life of devils and a hold of all the false and wrong, bad spirits. And it says, and a cage, a very not clean, hateful bird. In other words, put into it. Yes. Yay. Yes, yes, yes. Right, absolutely right. Yes, yes. So not this, so this angel comes and says, look out, destruction for that prostitute, that woman, that Babylon, fallen, fallen. And it says in 1 hour, 1 hour, all this judgment comes on them. All right. And it says with a mighty voice, he said, fallen, fallen, fallen. And it says that this woman was a home for demons, for every evil spirit, all these things. And that cursing, ugly bird. Okay. And fallen, fallen, Babylon great. It says she became the living place for all evil lived in this woman in Babylon. Okay, every bad, evil spirit. Fallen, fallen. Okay. Now, there'll be merchants, but they will not be able to sell because people will not have what they need to buy. So all are going to be, become poor because they'll have things, and they gathered all these riches, all these things, and they can't sell them now, and they have to. There's no. I like this picture here. You can't sit on the fence. You have to go one way or the other. Either follow over here or God, Jesus over here. You can't stay in the middle. You have to choose. And then in verse 4, he tells you, get out. Like if you remember Lot and his family in Sodom, and they were told to get out and don't look back. But the same way here is he's saying, if you believe in me, and remember by now, the rapture was finished. Those Jews and people that were saved through the tribulation have also come up now. So now if you're left, maybe you still didn't take the mark of the beast and you're still on the fence, or now maybe you've decided to follow God. Now is the time. He tells you, get out, get out, get out, leave, because the judgment is here. So what does Babylon want? They want the souls of men. Okay. And they will promise you, oh, if you'll just follow me or do this, I'll give you, I'll help you get rich, I'll help you get well, I'll help you, I'll give you. But they're going to get double payment for what's happened here. All right. Verse 7. Fire. It says, hurt and grieve, because the glory and the pleasantness that she gave herself, because she gave herself all, remember, all the gold, all the jewels, everything, the red, the purple, all of this, it'll be gone. And in verse 8, in one day, all the plagues, and remember everything that she poured out, all the trouble, it's going to come on her in one day. So if you remember, like all those pouring outs that came on, now it's all going to happen in one day. And it says, death, mourning, famine shall be consumed by fire, and the mighty Lord God will judge her. So her time is here. Says the same thing. Her plagues will overtake her. Now, death, mourning, famine, burn with fire. Now, what does burning do? Burning purifies. If they put, like the gold in the fire to clean it up, and to make pretty vases and things of glass, they put it in the fire to clean it and purify it. So it says here that it's a purifying. So the fire is purifying all this. Get rid of all the trash, and just get rid of it. And it says, and then we talk about the fire of the Holy Ghost. Okay. And it's the fire of the Holy Ghost is what's going to come and destroy them. Okay. And they will throw Satan out. All right. So with the law, the woman was found in harlotry. And what happened? They threw stones and killed him. In the Old Testament with the law, if a woman was found in adultery, she was stoned and killed. Okay. Now here she burned. All right. Now this one may maybe surprise you. America is referred to as Babylon and will be destroyed. So now what's happening in America now? We say all the time about all these crazy wrongs and sins and things happening. It's just building up to them becoming and following Babylon. Okay, so in Revelation 18 verses 7 through 10, it's really explaining America, what's going to happen there. And it says how she glorified herself. Okay, and she lived deliciously. We live good in America. Okay, no sorrow. It said there will be, verse 8, the plagues will come in one day. One day. Death, mourning, famine, all this will burn with fire. for strong is the Lord who judges her. Okay. The kings of the earth who have been with this woman, in other words, followed this government, they will have the smoke of the burning. They will all burn. So it says standing far away and watching all the trouble. And look at this picture. You see how it's destroying America? So the great city Babylon, the mighty city, for 1 hour is judgment. So not only America do they talk about, but they also, many think they mean especially New York. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then, what? Where? Oh, there it is. Okay, so in 1 hour, all this is going to just come on the earth, okay? Kings are going to be, what's happened, you know? And remember those 10 kings, especially, that are in that group, they're going to be, you know, so it's going to be powerful, and all the wicked leaders will be destroyed. They will feel, then they maybe will feel guilt, but it's too late. They can't do anything about it. And then you know, people like right here, people will say, oh, it's okay, it's okay, you can do it. I don't do it, but it's okay. Well, it's not okay. We can't say it's okay, because these things are written about in the word and explains that they're not okay. It's not okay. So we can stand, and now we don't turn away the people. We accept the people, but we don't accept their sin. And we need to tell them that it's sin and it will destroy you. Don't just say, well, I don't like what you do, but you know, it's okay. No. And then again, it says here, merchants, the sellers, nobody will be there to buy, because the whole money thing is just collapsed. And we're headed to that now. Right now there's money things happening. Our Federal Reserve, they're broke. They don't have any more money. So things are changing. We're getting closer to this. And like this picture of 9/11, that's nothing compared to what will happen here. Okay. All is taken away, and we already talked that one. Okay. There won't be any person to buy their gold, their silver, their jewels, their linen, their purple and red, can't buy it anymore. The silk, all of that, you know, nobody be able to buy it. And don't look back, just like in Lot. Here in your rear view mirror, if you're driving, look back. That's why our windshield is bigger, so we can see the future. Small one to look back, you know. So when we leave Babylon, don't look back. Yeah. In verse 20, it says, rejoice over her in heaven, you Christians, apostles, prophets, for God has given judgment for you against the woman. So when he brings this judgment, It's because he's mad at what the woman and Satan have done to us and how many they've killed of Jesus followers and whatever. And so in heaven, they will be rejoicing because now they see that God loved us so much, and now he's destroying all those that came against us. Judgment against them. Doom, and you hear about doomsday. Yes. In 18 verse 21, it says, with such violence, this great city is thrown down, never to be found again. Okay, never find again. Verse 22, it says, the voice of the harpers and the musicians, the flute players, the trumpeters, the flute players, all this, they will no more on the earth. People who, the arts and make things, no more, nothing more on this earth. And it says the voice of a mill, in other words, the noise that they make, no more, nothing will happen on this earth. Verse 23, and the light of the candle will not shine in you anymore. That's all those that follow Satan, the woman, no more light of any kind. And here it talks about in 23 and 24 about how Rome fell in the past. It says the light will shine no more at all in you. Your voice of the bride and the groom, you won't hear anymore. For all the merchants, the princes of the earth, they're all gone. They were deceived. They were deceived. Okay. And found the blood of prophets and saints, and all have been slain on the earth. In other words, so if they followed Satan and they came against us in any way, they'll be, their lights go out. Now, it says, what percentage of the blood guilt is given to Babylon? It says, all the blood of the prophets, the saints, all who were slain on earth. So the responsibility for all is on the woman, the harlot, and Satan. Okay. There's now this is going to lead to two different suppers, and the coming back of Christ will happen. So the next thing is that it says the devil, remember, took Jesus to the holy city and had him stand on the high part. Remember, he tempted Jesus. And he told him, look over all this. Now, if Jesus had surrendered to any one of Satan's things, it would have all been finished. Then we would have had no hope, no grace. But Jesus did not respond to Satan. So here we are on the edge of the time. America is in the prophecy. So Jesus Christ, Revelation, showing us what will happen. Okay, now we've had the 7 seals. And the number 7 included the 7 trumpets. Remember, we've had the woes. And then the 3rd woe, which was in the 7th trumpet, started the 7 bowls, which is what we're just talking about here. Okay. Does this look? What do we see in our movies now and all the things around us? And people say they have orgies and they have, sex parties and they have all the bad movies, not only sex, but murder and stealing and all sorts of things and rape and just torture. It's all out there right now. We need the light. The light of God, we need it. And who is Babylon? Now we know, right? Who is Babylon? Okay, it's the woman, the harlot, and in the end, it's America. So, time is near for Revelation. Okay, so that finishes 17 and 18. All right, let me come to this. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to stop recording.